Good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday, March 20th. And we can see that pre-market that the indices are going down a little bit with the SPY. Yeah, it's going down about 2.3 points right now, so about a 0.5%. And where is that really leading us to today? Well, we can see that the 50-week moving average is at the 567 sorry, 565.04, and price pre-market is around that same price, right? 564.60. I think it's really trying to just battle that resistance zone while maintaining the 561.48 support zone. So there is some really, it's just a really tight range going on right here, trying to see which one's going to win, resistance or support. But so far, support winning, because even though it did wick way down into the 550s last week, it did maintain that support, and it's still maintaining that support today. So that's really the focus for the whole week, is just staying above that 561.48. And with that said, we can just go to the QQQ as well and take a look at that, and take a look here and see that price is still stuck under the 50 moving average right there, and that's basically at 486.11. And then we have the 1.414 there at 472.65. So again, it's another indice that's really in a tight range, and it's trying to break resistance, but it keeps on holding support right there, and it is closer to the cloud too. So I think what we're seeing is maybe just more consolidation before things really want to try to go higher. So I do believe we are in that process of a bottoming process. So this has potential to hold, but it doesn't mean that it can't keep retesting the levels below again and again and again before trying to go higher once again. So the QQQ, it does look better and better, but it's got to start breaking above that 486.11 there to have a more bullish future. So that's the range I'll be looking at, and that's 486.11. As above, it's going to be the 504 once again, if that can get broken. And the IWM is also going back down a little bit, down 1.25 points this morning. And this is going right back down to the 50% level here, the 203.07. And actually, it's still quite a ways above that, around 205.15. So even if it did come back down to retest that into this week and the weeks to come, I still think it's okay right there. But we have a lot of confirmation of support, especially this huge wick through of all that support, even the 100 and the 200-week moving average. So essentially, I think things are still within the bottoming process. Nothing is broken technically. So we just need to pay attention to those levels every single day, every single week, until the resistance above gets broken. And hello, did ADS hit the power bottom? And I clearly won't go lower. I can take a look at that crypto for you. And the jobs number right now on CNBC. Yeah, so the jobs number, I'm not even paying attention to the jobs number, but if anybody wants to type it in the chat, that'll be fine too. But yeah, I can take a look at that. Before I take a look at stocks, I can look at that crypto for you. So has it reached a bottom? Well, it might have, right? The 0.236 right there, the 0.0949, that is your support. And it did not go below it, right? It did wick below it, but it did not close any weekly candles below it. So that has potential to hold. And that angle below still is a possibility to go through down in the 8-cent zone. So can't cut out. But essentially, what I'm looking at with this one, when I put on other indicators here, is that it's got a lot of ways to recover, right? It has room to go all the way back up to the 13 cents, but it might get rejected there because now there's a lot of resistance there. There's the 4-degree angle, there's the 382 fib, there's also the 100-week moving average. So I think that's just the range it's in, basically 13 to 9 cents right now. And I don't know if anything's going to really change in the short term, because it could just be stuck in that range until it can really blast through it and break above and go higher. But until then, just stuck in a range, kind of like everything else out in stocks and crypto. And we'll go to, I saw people type before Tesla and ARKK, so I'll take a look at those two. So Tesla here, we can see that it's still riding this angle right here, and it's a little bit below still, but the week is not over yet. The week ends on tomorrow, right? It's on the 20th. So the goal is still to try to get above all this resistance tomorrow, maybe the 100 week and even the 200 week and even the arc right there. That is the goal, to get above for Tesla. And right now it's still just battling support, right? We can put on our fibs right here. And our fibs right there are the 242.44 on log scale, right? That is the 618. That's also another thing to try to get above and stay above. And then we got the linear scale fib right here, which is the 382, the 221.26 right down there. And that's ultimately the big, it's stuck between the 240s and the 220s right now. And it's just kind of trying to build a base while getting closer to the cloud. So it's kind of running out of time here until it makes its decision on what to really do. But judging off of this market symmetry here, when I take off all the indicators for Tesla, it still is holding that symmetry just fine, right? It's still doing what it has done back in January 23, all of 2024, right? It was flirting with that angle all of 2024 basically for a long time, and now it's back testing that whole zone once again. So still is just fine according to market symmetry, but it has to start closing above those resistance levels, any kind of momentum. And I wanted to show ARKK as well. So ARKK, we can see on this chart that price went up to the 45-degree angle and got rejected perfectly along with the 50% fib up here. And that made price come back down and retest levels. So is it going to come back down to this 43.87 here, the 236, and retest that? A lot of people think so, and possibly it can, but one thing is stopping it, and that is the 100-week moving average right now, and that's holding as support. And it's kind of a nice upward sloping moving average now at 47.35. So with ARK, I think it could be searching for its higher low right now. And so it is just getting rejected by the 50 moving average. And if it can maintain that 47.35, then I think it can actually break through that 50 week and head back up to the 50s above. So ARKK, it still looks fine, right? All that happened was a lot of resistance up here. So if there's a lot of resistance, sometimes it just gets rejected and comes back lower to find a higher low. And that's exactly what it's doing right now. And is Nvidia and Tesla in a good position for start adding? Well, Nvidia, I think that's a different story, because Nvidia has to prove one thing to me and one thing only, and that's starting to get back on top of levels. And so far, it's not doing that. This 50-week moving average was really a bullish indicator once it broke above, right? And now it's below, and it's been below for 3 weeks now in a row. So this is actually something that is showing weakness for Nvidia right now, and it's kind of showing caution at the same time. But we can see that the Ichimoku is still holding as support. So this is a real battle. It's a real big battle. And if you're interested in it, then maybe back down at the cloud around the 109, 110. But in my opinion, it kind of has to prove that it wants to be more bullish by closing back above all these levels again, maybe like the 123, even the conversion line at 126. It's got to start doing that, because if not, it could roll over and even go back down to the bottom of the cloud in the 90s, or even retest the 100 down here, which is at 87. So I cannot be too optimistic right now on Nvidia, simply for the fact that something that was holding for years, this 50-week moving average, is now starting to roll over and not go above. So it's going to have to prove it to me that it wants to get more bullish. So I cannot I have to be a little bit more cautious with Nvidia because it looks like it could be forming like a temporary top, while Tesla, on the other hand, is trying to hold support. So they're in kind of different spots, right? Tesla is in the bottom of a range. Nvidia is kind of in the top of the range. So they're in different spots. But which one will be more bullish? Only time will tell. But I am more cautious at resistance here because this is proving that it can't break above, while Tesla is so far holding its symmetrical support. AMD. Yeah, we'll take a look at AMD as well. So AMD, it's only down a little bit pre-market, but I still think it has room to go up to its conversion line before any kind of bigger rejection, and that is really around 110. And then you got the 200 up here at 116. But this is looking like a bottoming formation. Like we've seen this kind of style before, where it kind of bottomed out, went back up, then it did a double bottom. So could it do something similar where it comes back up and then it comes back down and tests it one more time and goes higher? Sure, it could. Right, so this could still be, you could still have patience with AMD, but I think anything in like the high 90s or low 100s, I think that still is a great opportunity for Nvidia, because not only that, the monthly Ichimoku cloud is right there too, and it's going to be catching it on the way down. So support in that zone, and I think it's a great opportunity for the future. But the closer it gets to the 110, 116, I think that's going to be some rejection in the near future, and could even come back down to the low 100s after that. So it's in the middle of a range, and I'm always cautious in the middle of a range. So I think just be patient with this one because it could easily come back down and retest levels. I think the future is looking better and better for Nvidia, for AMD, and it has the potential to continue higher and higher in the month to come. Dear Matt, how does SPX 6900 look like to you? Thank you for the time. I'm not sure about the SPX 6900. is that something crazy right there? But look at DXYZ. DXYZ. So yeah, DXYZ did hold this support perfectly down here. All of it, right? It had the 50-week moving average right down here, and it had the 50% at 30, and it bounced. But now it bounced right back to resistance, and it went right up to the 41. And in fact, it went up to 48 exactly, almost to the baseline, but not quite, 43, 49. So it is looking like a bottoming formation, but bottoming formations do take some time because they can bounce, they can go right back to resistance, then they can come back down and retest levels again, maybe the 34, maybe a little bit lower. But yeah, DXYZ, it's looking like it wants to stay maybe on top of that cloud there, right? But we do have to understand that this cloud this is like the formation of the cloud right here, the leading span A. It does drop down all the way here, right down on the 14. Is this going to be like an A, B, C correction before going higher? I'm not sure, right? But just know as long as it stays under all this resistance, I'm going to be cautious on it. And that is the 4108. That's the baseline here at 43 and the conversion line at 46. So if it can't break above those, then it has potential to keep drifting lower and lower and lower until it finds some support down there. But yeah, in the meantime, we're going to pay attention to 34 as support, and also 3074 right here as your support as well. So this is something that is just stuck like the rest of the market, and it has to prove that it wants to get a little bit more bullish. ERJ. So ERJ, wow, it just keeps on melting up, right? Melting up. Embraer, the airline. So where is it going to stop? Nobody knows. Let's do a fib. So there we go. I mean, we have some idea right there that the previous high is actually being broken. That previous high back in June of 2027 sorry, 2007, 2027, 2007 is breaking above that, which is great. So we can use that as a reference now as support. So let's see if 52.83 can hold as that support. And if so, I think it can go higher. And how high could it go? Maybe even up to the 66 on linear scale here, the 1.272. So that is the current range. But I must caution with stuff like this. When you see stuff just continue to melt up and up and up, if you're not already, don't really recommend chasing it, because sometimes that 52 would not hold and it would just come screaming back down to the 40s or even 30s to retest levels before even going back up. So I don't like to chase these things, but if you're already in it, you can probably try to enjoy the and see if 52 can hold for ERJ. And APP, AppLovin. So AppLovin, I think, is just another one of those stocks that's stuck in a range. And that range is very definable between the 1.272 right now and the 1.414, the 332 and the 231. That is the range it's in, and it's going to the top end of that range, and that's around 325, 332, that area. And if it can't break above, then it's probably going to go back down to the angle again, maybe even drift closer to the cloud as well. So nothing too extremely exciting for AppLovin right now. I think it's in a cooling off period after reaching the green GAN level up here. So I think just be patient with this one, because I don't know if it's really ready to break above this 332.50 just yet. But once it starts to consecutively or consistently close back above there, then I think it'll have an opportunity to move higher. Grab was an option to buy. Yeah, Grab. Let's take a look at Grab. Yeah, Grab. It's a nice looking one, right? It's just having trouble here with the 200-week moving average and this fib right here, this 382.491 fib. It just had trouble in that area, and I think it's just buying time to the cloud. And because of that, I think what we can take away from this is it was a breakout, got rejected by all of this here, and a back test of the 50-week moving average. And now we are looking at price just drifting closer to the cloud again, just like everything else in stocks right now, drifting closer and closer before it really wants to make a decision. So I think in the months to come, it'll be great. But in the meantime, I think it'll be just an accumulation zone between current price all the way down to the 50, the 402 here, for price to eventually get closer to the cloud and then take off. But essentially, it's not going to do much until this 491 here gets broken as resistance. But yeah, still like it. I have been buying. I think I'll buy more if it does go a little bit lower. And I think it has great potential to go higher. And IonQ. IonQ. And IonQ is right here with the A6, and that is that's where it got rejected, I should say. This 886, that was a bearish engulfing candle that cut right through that support. It used to be support, and it broke, right? And now I have a little path out here that I think it's it was getting closer to resistance, but it kind of got rejected. So it's just like everything else, stuck in a range, and it's stuck in between the 27 and also that 21 down here. So the range actually a little bit lower too, because it went down to the 50, the 1896. So it's a very wide range. And the reason why it's very wide, it's because it had an explosive move higher. So it has room to go down lower if it chose to. But eventually, I think it will get more bullish, but I think it's going to spend some in this range first before it's really going to go higher. So that 886 is going to be my target for getting more bullish, and that's at 2709. So as long as it stays under that number, I think it's going to just be range bound for a while. And Robinhood, we can see that Robinhood is at the 702, breaking above that 702 right here, the 4006. And with that, we can see the baseline's right above there at 44.48. So it's also stuck in a range, right? Surprise, surprise. And and can't really get more excited on this one until it really gets back above this 786 again, and that's at 49.52. So that 40 needs to get flipped to a support up here for the opportunity to go much higher. But until then, I think this is going to be the range, right? It has potential to retest the 40s, has potential to go up here, but I think it might just be stuck in this range until it might get closer to this cloud before it really wants to go higher. So we'll see, right? Everything really is just stuck in a range, and that's proof by all the indices, proof by all these charts. So resistance has to get broken for things to continue its journey higher. And Google. Yeah, Google here, it's looking like weakness after weakness. And this one was a sign ever since it broke below this 1.272 fib, this 178.31, which was a previous resistance, tried to flip to support, but it failed. So now it's maybe going to the bottom of the cloud, maybe 156, maybe even the 100-week moving average, 153, maybe this all-time high back in 2022, right, with the 151. But the goal is, in the weeks to come, try to stay above 164 here. Stay on top of this cloud, and if that can continue to build a base, then perhaps it can climb its way out of the cloud like that and get more bullish, right? That's how we can utilize that Ichimoku. But in the meantime, if this stays underneath the cloud week after week after week, then that's going to show a lot of weakness, and it's probably going to gravitate lower. So a lot of the bigger mega cap techs, they do show a lot of weakness here, but support isn't too far away down here, right, in the 150s. So it could try to consolidate here. There is previous support here too back in September of 2024. So I think just patience with this one too, but nothing too optimistic just yet as it's fighting the cloud. It can't even stay above it. So it has to prove it wants to stay above it by closing weekly bills continuously above it. All right, we'll do FTM, Fantom. Yeah, I see some crypto there. So we'll check it out, and we'll see that the price is stuck, right? Surprise, surprise. Everything's stuck. And it's stuck in between the 50-week and the 100-week. So there it is. There's a range, really. We can just identify it here with this fib, 47 cents, all the way up to maybe this 618 fib right here, the 67.9. So, but again, as long as it's stuck underneath the weekly cloud, it's going to really do anything. So it's got to get above like the 69 cents, 70 cents before it does anything great at all. And yeah, Sonic. And maybe CoinX. Let's see, Sonic US dollar. Yeah, there's not much data on this one. So just like maybe your SPX 6900, I don't know if there's much data on those. So it's difficult to, yeah, I'm not too sure. Let's see, KuCoin. Yeah, if it's this chart, I can't really chart it. So it's just too young. Yeah, it's just really young, but it looks stuck in a range to me. So yeah, we'll move on to Oscar here. We are. And Oscar, we can see it's starting to lose the 100-week moving average, but can it regain it by the end of the week? So that's going to be the challenge, and that's 12. But I think what could be possible is maybe it just wants to go back and get this 618 before any kind of recovery. So 1225 could be that target. So let's just put that on our radar. And essentially, it was always just trying to battle this 50-week moving average ever since it broke below, right? Ever since it broke below, it came back up, got rejected, kept on getting rejected. So if things keep on getting rejected, they usually continue lower. So Let's assume 1225 needs to get touched first before any kind of attempt to go higher. So there we go. I think it's near a support zone, but if it loses this 100 for many weeks, then that could become a resistance. So let's pay attention to that 1299. Yeah, I'll do 2 more here. I'll do Baba and Pinduoduo, and that's it for me for today. So Baba, it's coming back down to the 136, so that could be an opportunity right down there. But again, if you are not already in it, it's kind of a little bit risky to start a position here because you can see the overextension of the baseline and the conversion line down there. So it could easily drop below 120 again and get some of that liquidity back down here before trying to go higher. So I'm not too convinced it wants to hold just yet, even though it is trying, right? Week after week, it is trying. So the more candles that close above it, the opportunity it is to hold as support. But this angle was rejected as resistance right here at the 1. So it's also stuck in a range, but it's trying to hold this 136 as support. And yeah, PDD, we can see that price is basically going back below the 50-week moving average, and it's battling the cloud. So that's a necessary requirement to get more bullish, right? Get back above that cloud. Also, get back above the 786 here, the 132.35. And we can see that 132.35 is going to be pretty good resistance because it already got rejected pretty nicely there on the 18th. So got rejected, came back down, held support, battling the cloud. So I can say definitively that it's just stuck in a range like everything else. And ultimately, until it breaks above 132.35, this is going to be just stuck, right? Can't get more bullish until it starts closing weekly candles back above that chart. But like everything, guys, I'll just end it there. And we can see that everything, almost everything, is stuck in a range. Whether it's Palantir, Baba, Pinduoduo, IWM, right? Everything is just stuck. And what I'm waiting for is the SPY to close candles back above the 50-week moving average, close weekly candles above it, not just daily candles. And also the QQQ needs to start to close above that 50-week moving average as well. So until that happens, support needs to be defended down here for all these levels, especially the QQ and the SPY. And if it can keep defending these support levels, then I think this resistance above can get broken. So it's a patience game here. And I think what we're seeing now is just a bottom still before the next move higher. But the next move higher won't happen until there's weekly candles that start to close above resistance. So with that, guys, I will see you guys tomorrow.